Okie doke. So, you'd like me first, before we move on to links and cascading style sheets, to review building a show website. That's what I call it, show, just the basic pages with links and all of that sort of thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm just going to view, this is what you ultimately want to see on your website. You want to see files with local files available, and where you see both local files and this little flow chart here is right here. It's your site map. That's technically what this is called. Site map is basically a flow chart. And if you only want to see the map and not your files, then you can hide it that way. If you want to see both map and files, you click and you hold on to it. If you only want to see site files, click like so. And this is also will be useful when you upload. For example, it's worthwhile talking about this here, that I can connect to the server from here. I can see all the files. And then, for example, when I've updated my index file, for example, it could be any file, I can upload just it. If that's the only one I revised, that's the only one that I've changed, there's a couple ways to do that. You can select it. Then at the top, you click the Put button, and it will put just that file. Or you can click on the file and drag it over on top of the old one, and it will replace it. What you will also get for the first time, it says index.html has changed on the remote server. Okay, since your last put the file anyway, overwrite, yes. So yes to all, you can compare. It does give you some warnings in case there is a problem. And for me, yes to all is fine, because I'm going to delete all of this and start over again anyway. Okay. You can also delete files from here. You can delete files from here. So I can come back and I can select, hold down the command key, and I can select these individual files and folders. I'm not going to remove scripts and just hit delete. Do you really want to delete all these files? Yes, I do. Now I don't have anything on here. And I can do the same from over here. I can select all of these. I can select I can select the About button. I can select the Contact HTML. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. Nope, I'm not going to delete that. Resume, samples, an untitled document. Okay, so I'll just delete from here. Now, even though I'm deleting them from here, they're removed from my root folder. They're gone. History. Okay, it's like using the bridge in Adobe Photoshop. You don't have to actually drag them into the trash. They're gone. They're history. I can maybe retrieve them. Let's open up the trash can. And here are these recovered files that until I empty the trash, they're still there, which is helpful in case you make a mistake. Okay. So what I'm going to do, and I may have goofed things up, I want to see the site map, but I want to look at map and files. And you'll see that I really messed this up, because now I have a broken link for HTML because I removed it when I didn't want to. So maybe I can go back in here. Oh boy. See this, well, it's good that this happened, because this will happen to some of you. Let me go back to my root folder. No. Let me just go from here. I'm going to right click with the sitemap and files visible. And if you don't see them, we can always close this, and I can do that by going back to files here. And when I look at files, see this little button to the right says collapse to show only remote. And then from here, I can also click and drag and move this over. So this is now inside here. Come on. Come on. Oh, click the wrong button. Come on, come on, come on. I don't want that. What am I doing here? I want this to collapse and be in here. And I don't know why it's not here. We have files. Here are assets. But I also want this to be in here. So let me just close it. And hopefully, if I go to Window, Workspace Layout, I'm just going to select Default so it comes back and you'll see. And here's the files here. I originally wanted it in here. And you'll notice this same button over to the right. This is Expand to show local. Now if I click here, it's supposed to go back on there. That's what I wanted. Okay, I guess I had pulled it off before. So by clicking on that button to expand it, what I want to do inside my root folder, and this is what you should have from the get-go, and don't ever do what I just did, is to remove your index file. That's really critical. And don't rename and don't move your root folder around either. You know, try to leave it stay put, because then files will become unlinked. We'll have broken links. So I'm going to right-click or control-click on here, and I want to create a new file. I'm going to name this one index.html. And it's not in, well, I lucked out. It fixed it. Notice that I have a link now. Okay, so the index.html is really critical. That's the first page that loads, and that, in fact, is the file name. So if I were to double-click on this little icon to bring it up, and I can look at split view or design view or whatever I want, I can, at the top, give a title to this, to the document. This is not the same as the file name. I can give it whatever name I want. And I'll name this, you know, home page. It could be splash page, it could be first page, it could be whatever you want, the name of your company. It's not critical. This is just part of the HTML, the title page. It's not your file name. I can also, to add text, I can click on the screen. I see the little flashing cursor to the left. Maybe I want it centered. Instead, I'll go ahead and under Format, I want heading 1, which will be the largest. Under font, what I used before, I would probably like to use Verdana. For right now, under color, let's just select black, and let's select bold. Size, I can also specify if I want maybe the largest available, 36 point. And I said this will be Lauren's new website. Okay. And I'll go ahead and I'll save this. So I've Command S to update it. Now what I would like to do, because this is my home page, one thing that I've noticed that some of you have done is that you'll stretch this. This is not a good idea to do, because it gives you a false impression of what the end user is going to see. I would leave this alone. What I would do is click on the bottom, and I would select either 800 by 600 maximized. You could also do 832 by 624, but that's still significantly smaller than what I had. If you want to zoom in, use the magnification tool and zoom in. Okay, hold down the Option key to zoom out until you see 100%, and then turn it off by clicking the black arrow. Leave this size constant, because this is pretty much what the end user is going to see. And if you stretch and pull like so, you're assuming that the end user is going to see this, or if I click over here, that they're going to have a large monitor, and that this is what they're going to see in their when they view your page in a browser. Not a good idea, because then you will discover quickly on a small monitor that the end user is going to be scrolling left and right as well as up and down. And you remember that one of the really important rules that I specified was that you don't want to scroll left and right. Up and down is okay, but not left and right. And especially on your first page, you want to minimize scrolling altogether. If they have to scroll a little bit, well, that's okay. But you really want to minimize that. So I'm going to go ahead and resize this again, like so. And I'll leave this alone. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to build off of this one page an entire website. And what I'll do is as I made this first index page, I'm going to create all of the others that I want from my website. So again, on the site Lauren Miller, I right click or command or control click, and I want to create a new file. Okay? So this new file will be named about. And how you name these files is critical, because these are the HTML documents that you're naming. So they have to have the extension HTML or HTM. All the naming rules for files that we have talked about since the first week apply here. Remember, don't start with a capital letter. No spaces between words. Use underscores if you need to put a space. Or use camel backing, no numerals except at the end. No special characters, so on and so forth. And so here's the About page, and I'll continue to create all of the others. And these have now been added to my root folder. They are actual files. Right-click, New File. I'll name this one Resume. So again, make sure that HTML is there. If it's not, it will not work. Even though it is an HTML file, it needs the extension. Samples, so samples page. New file, we'll name this one Samples, or Portfolio, whatever you want to name it, it's up to you. Right-click again, New File, and this one will be Contact. Okay, so I have all my pages now, and you can add more at any time. But now what I want to do, because when we look at this page, and if we were to preview it in the browser, there is no way to go to the other pages. There are no links. I can't link to the other pages, so I need to add links. And then when I go to the other pages, I need to make sure that I have links on those pages that let me go back to the home page and back to other pages. And that can be handled very easily in here. So linking in here, this is one way to link, and you'll see this even down here in the Properties panel, is that we can create links down here, or we can create links from up here. And this little target is a linking tool, which is really, really handy. So what I will do is I'll first click on here and drag, and this will rubber band, and you see the little arrow. I want to link this first to the About page. Okay, so that I have a link on my index page to the About page. To prove that, we go ahead here, and whoops, not that one, sorry. We go ahead here, and here it is, right here. Here's the About link. Okay, and you can tell it's a link because it's the default colors are blue and it is underlined. And if we were to preview it in the browser, and click on here, it would load that About page, but it'd just be a blank page. So let me go ahead now and let's link to the other pages. And then once I'm at the other pages, I will link back. You have to do it in kind of a smooth, progressive way, so that you make sure that you get them all in the same order and make sure that you don't forget any of them. So now what I'll do is I'll go from the About page, from the index page to the Resume page, and then I'll go from the Resume page to the Portfolio page, and then I will go from index page to the contact page. That will be my last one. These can be in any order, but what I do want to do is try to maintain that same order. See all of my links down here? On every other page. Okay, so now how do I link these pages? Because if I double click on the About page, it's here, it opens up, but it's just a blank document. So again, maybe I should center this. I should type in About, but what I'm going to do is, again, format. I want it to H1 heading, font, I'm going to select Verdana. And this is tedious, but later on I'll show you how to avoid all of this, to do something, work with the Cascading Style Sheets. Style here, we don't have a style yet, so I'm going to go ahead and make this size 36. Okay. And make it bold. All right. And I'll name it About. Okay. Save it. Now let's go ahead and let's start to now link the About page back to the index page, the resume page, portfolio page, and contact page. You don't need to link it to itself because you're already there. I guess that's one of my pet peeves. I do see that from time to time when it's there and it's unnecessary. So click, and now I'll go back to the index page and I'll link it there. And you'll see that link is indicated here. Now I'll go to the resume page, since that was the order that I'd done before. And then we'll go from the resume page to the portfolio page. And then we'll go from the About page to the contact page. So now I have links. Again, you can see from the About page, I have links now back to the home page and back to all the others. So I'm building just the core, and then I'll be ready to add content. And now I will repeat that step for all of the others. Start with the resume page, go back to the index page first. Then I'm going to go to the About page. Then I'm going to go to the portfolio page. Then I'm going to go to the contact page. So each time I just skip the page that I'm on. I go and then try to go in the same order. Index, About, Resume, and Contact. And then for the contact page, we go to the index page. We go to the About page. We go to the resume page. We go to the portfolio page. Okay? Now I haven't put headings on any of those, but I could go ahead, and I probably should, go ahead and open them now. Untitled document, I'll go ahead and name this About. I can also copy these or cut them, and I can go inside this div and I can paste them, and I can put them back in here. If I also don't want the name index anymore, because that's the name of the file name, and I want this the home page, I can change that, and it still links to that file. So instead I can name this home, and the link is still there. If you're not sure, go to split, and with this highlighted, you'll see that this is home, and that the href stands for where it's linked to, and it's linked to the index.html. So it's still linked to that same file. But the name of the link can be whatever you want. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and we should probably repeat this for all the others. Let's go to the resume page. Come on. There we go. There's the resume page. And I can go ahead and I can maybe center this. And I can hit the tab a few times. Put one up here. Let's do the same thing. Let's go to heading 1. Let's change the font. I'm going to use Verdana. I want it to be bold. I want there is no style. Size to be 36. Okay, we'll use the default black. And this is my resume page. And I'll name this at the top, resume. Save it. And let's do the same for the others. The portfolio. And I'm going to go ahead and center it just to be consistent. Hit return, click up here, and we'll do the same thing. This is now portfolio. I can tell it's a portfolio page because the file name is named at the top. Paragraph, instead I'll use heading 1. Default font, I will use Verdana instead. Size, I will use 36. And make sure it's bold, and I probably should specify black in there, otherwise it's going to use a default. But we're going to change that shortly anyway. So this will be portfolio, and I will save it. And we have one more to go. We have the contact page. And I'll go ahead and center this, and I'll hit return, and I'll put the cursor up here at the top, switch from paragraph to heading 1, switch the font from default font to Verdana. Size will be 36. Bold, and we'll name this contact. And again, under title of the document, this will be my contact page. And hit Command S for save. And now the real test is to see if all of these guys work. Remember that if you see little asterisks, that page has not been saved. Okay, so make sure that you save it so that when you test it, everything hopefully works. So while the index page is selected, I'll go here and we will preview it in the browser. And you'll notice we have all our links. We've already been to the About page, and now when I click, you'll notice it takes me to the About page. And I can go back home from here, and let's go to the Resume page. And let's go from the Resume page back to the Index page. Let's go to the Portfolio page. Let's go back to the Index page. Let's go to the Contact page. Contact. Let's go back to Index. And go through all of them to make sure that they all work before you upload it. And then when you're ready and you're happy and you think everything works, we're ready to upload the whole thing. Now I can go back to here where I'm looking both at my remote site and my local site. I'll click this button here, connects to remote site, to make sure that I'm connected. And now what I want to do is I want to upload the whole thing. So to upload the whole thing, I click on the site folder, and I click on the Put button up here, meaning it's going to upload all of these files. And when I click here, it says, are you sure you want to put the entire site? For the first time, sure. After that, I might only want to edit one page at a time, because it will crash sometimes if you try to upload too much. And then when I'm done, we can go back to, and you'll see that all of these are now on the remote site. We can go back to the browser, and instead of seeing this as a file name, if I want to actually see what it looks like on the web, then I put in the URL. Because notice that this is previewing this in the browser, but this is all local, and I can tell it's local because it has file, not HTTP. So let's go ahead and put in here instead HTTP : // and this will be, oh, what was it? Lauren-Miller.tripod.com. And now I get the ads. And now I get Lauren's new website, and when I click, notice it goes to the other pages. And you test them all here and make sure that you see consistency. Now one way, which is kind of a lead in to now to links, lead into Cascading Style Sheets. And I will show some lynda.com videos today too that will describe better to you what Cascading Style Sheets are. But we'll show you how to create them today so that you can export them and uniformly apply text and background images and backgrounds and all sorts of stuff. And in fact, when you get more sophisticated, actually do entire page layouts with Cascading Style Sheets. That's for another class. But we will cover the basics of Cascading Style Sheets here, or CSS. So one thing that might help us to stand out from these horrible ads would be to add a background color. And one of the things that we can do is we can go to Modify, Page Properties, and what we see here is background color. There's background image. We can put a background image, which we'll cover on another day. But I'm just going to put a color for right now. And I'm going to use kind of a light orangey kind of color here. Okay, and it gives me the hexadecimal numbers, and I can apply it, and that looks pretty good. Okay? Okay? But when I go to the other pages, you know, they all still have white. They all still have similar changes. You know, they haven't made changes. So let me stay on index page for a while, or my home page, and let's talk about links for a little bit. Linking. For example, if I wish to create another link in here that I want to go to Kmart 66, I can create a text link. I can create a flash button, and I can link that somewhere. I can also use an image, and I can link the image to another page or another site. I can also link to a document, something that I haven't shown you, and that's useful. But have you ever seen on pages, let's say you want a print version of it, and oftentimes what they'll do is they will, when you click on that link, it links to a PDF file. So what we'll do is we'll create a PDF file, put it on a root folder, and we will link to it, and then we'll test it in the browser and show you what happens when you link, and it will actually download that page, and then it will be a print version of the document, which is pretty cool. But let's say I want to link to Kmart 66. There's a variety of ways I can do that. If I just want to add another text link, I type in Kmart 66. Now, note the difference. This is just black text relative to the blue, and it's not underlined. There is no link. I can click and I can drag and to highlight every letter that I want to be a link, and I can turn this into a link a variety of ways. I can, you'll see that I have some pages here that I can link to. The About page, Index, Content page. I have all of those. I can also, if we come back over here and let's switch to, let's hide this so that it goes back in here. Oh, no. Let's go back and look at this just as files, and let's click back in here. So this goes back in here. What am I, hey, that's not right. We want this. Let's just look at local files. Okay, let's click back in here. Why are you doing that? I don't want map view, I just want local view. There we go. So in local view, for my local files, you see all of the names here. I can also click on a link here, and I can drag it, and if I want to link it to my resume page, I can. And notice as soon as I drag on top of it, you see resume.html. That's local, that's all the information you need. This is called a relative link. A relative link is one that's inside your root folder. But I said I wanted to link to an external site, Kmart 66. Then in here, what I need to do is if I had that file in a folder, I could browse to it. But instead, I'm just going to type the absolute link in here, since it's located externally. To do that, and to put an absolute link, I need to put http kmart:// and in this case it's www.kmart66.com. And now when I click back on here, notice it looks like all the other links. It's no longer just editable text. It is a link. I'll go ahead and save it. And another thing that I should probably do too, do you remember the little rule that I suggested isn't a bad one? That when you link to an external site, that under target, instead of leaving it blank, which means it will replace itself, that we put in here a blank page. And by blank, it will open up a brand new page when you click on that link. And at least from my perspective, it's a good visual cue to the end user that says, hey, I've gone someplace else. Make sure that that is saved. And let's go ahead and preview in the browser, and let's see what we get. If I click on Kmart66, it loads a brand new window, and it goes to my website. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. Now, even though, this is an active link, but if I go back, here, notice that this is all file. This is local. I have not uploaded it yet. I still have to upload these changes. Every time you make a change and you want it to be visible on that remote server on the tripod's website, you have to upload the changes. Okay? And that includes everything from this link to the background color. You name it, anything. See, so if I were to go back here and go back to, oh, come on. Let's go to the home page. You'll see there are no changes here because I haven't uploaded the changes. Okay. So let's go ahead now and let's show about inserting images, inserting additional buttons, and maybe some flash buttons, things that I talked about last week. So for example, if I want a list of flash buttons below Lauren's new website, I can hit the return key. And you'll see here under flash or media, flash button. If you don't see flash button, you can see flash, flash text, flash paper, flash video. A plugin would be for a movie. I want a flash button here. And when that pops up, you can see that there's lots of different styles of buttons available to me. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use this green button here. And for the button text, I'll put in here, since this is the home page, I'll make this the About page. Okay, A-B-O-U-T, capital letters, Verdana 12 point. In this particular instance, you have access to all of the typefaces on your computer because it's going to be turned into an image of text. It's not going to be editable text. What we're doing is it's a part of Flash that's built into Dreamweaver. The link here, we can browse or you can type it in. And because I know it's just going to be about.html, I can write that in. Target, just leave it blank. Background color, this is critical. I'm going to leave this alone for a moment and leave the white, and if when I apply it, hey, it didn't, oh, you see the little white edge around it? It's very subtle. But if I click the background color and I click and I move over on top of my background, and you see the eyedropper when I click, and now it says, I see this little background color, and I click apply, that little background has gone away. Now I click OK, and I can title this, because this will be for accessibility, those who are seeing impaired. The reader that I talk about is not a person, it's a program that reads their website to them. So what this will do is it'll say that this is About button or About link. Okay? So now I've added a flash button to this, and I can go ahead and I can add more buttons for all the others. And this looks a little bit nicer than these. What if I want to add a photograph? I'll go ahead and I'll hit the return key again, and I'm just going to center everything. What I can do now is the button to the left of where you see the flash or the media panel, there's a little icon with a tree in it, similar to what we saw in Flash. Well, this is an image, and if I click on this tab to the right, it'll show me that I can image placeholder, rollover image, a fireworks HTML, a navigation bar, all sorts of stuff. I just want an image. Now, I have already placed an image inside my root folder. If I haven't, it will detect that and it will warn you and it will ask you, do you want to place this inside your root folder? And you will say yes. I'm going to go inside my image folder and I want that Ducks Dunes JPEG. Okay? And I'll choose it. And again, I'll just say picture of duck. This is my alt text, picture of duck. And if I want the long description, I can have a page, an HTML page that it will load that will give me a lengthy description of it. If it's a whole paragraph, this should be very short. So if this is an important image, this is a duck sitting in the desert, you know, we want to write a whole paragraph about it, and you would create a whole page dedicated just for that description. And again, depending on who your target audience is, that might be important that they know what it is that they're missing in that image. There it is. It's centered. I can only go flush left, centered, flush right at the moment. Either this Thursday or next Tuesday, we will start to cover tables and divs and layouts so that we can begin to control our layouts better. Okay? But I'm just making everything centered at the moment. Make sure that I save the updates, but again, I haven't uploaded the updates yet. Okay? So we've inserted text, we've inserted images, we've inserted a new flash button. Next thing, maybe we want to create a link. So maybe I want this to an image. Again, maybe I want the duck to be a local link, or maybe I want the duck to be linked to an external site. Remember, one of the things that we can do, I showed you that we can create these hotspots, which are similar to what we had in Flash. Okay. If I click here, I'll select a simple circle, click and drag like so, and I'll click this button so that I can specify. So it's not just the whole image, it's just a part of the image that's linked. And again, I can link to a part of the page, I can link to an external site, or maybe I can link to a local site. Let me go ahead and show you just the link to the local site. I'm going to click and drag here, and I'm going to link this to my portfolio page. And there it says, in portfolio. Because it's a part of this website, I don't need to add a target. If I want an alt tag, I can here. Make sure I save the change. So I've made lots of additions here. Notice how much we're linking to other things. And all of this stuff is external, and if we don't make sure that our links work properly, it's not going to show up properly when we upload it to the server. So what I should do before I do anything more is I should go ahead and upload everything. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this apart again. And I want to view this as, again, the remote and the local. And the only thing that I've changed is my index page. So to update that index page, I'll click on it here locally, and then I'll drag it on top of the one remotely. And it's putting all the files, and it should automatically add the images and the flash and everything else. And now we can go ahead and test it in tripod.com, and it should update automatically. Notice that we're already on the home page, so by refreshing it, now you see the change to the page, to the background color, and it's loading the image. And why it's taking so long, I don't know. There is hardly anything on here. There we go. Now, this isn't good. Look at the link here, the one for the flash button. It says when you roll over it, you see how it tells me it's an about link? But there's something here that I messed up. Maybe I messed up, maybe I didn't. The file name is button, I didn't name it, it's just button SWF. I can rename this from here. Or let's go ahead and double click on it. And what I should name it down here instead of button is maybe, this was the about link. So about button SWF. Anything else I'm missing here? I have the about text, Verdana. That looks right. Let's go ahead and preview it again. Apply. And that looks right. So let's go ahead and click OK. But this is why you have to continually, test. I mean, I should test locally first. So let's preview in the browser, Firefox, and see what we get here. Let's go ahead and save changes. And that looks right. And when I click, it does go to the about. Let's go back home. Notice that this is a rollover button, and there are some of them that are in there, and it's a part of that selection in that flash button library that have sound already attached to them and animation. So you might want to check those out. They're pretty nice. Okay, so let me hide this. And let's go ahead and close this. And actually, why did I do that? I'm going to go back here again. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in again. Actually, let me upload this one more time. Make sure it has whatever changes I've made. Okay, now let's go back again. And I want to put in here laurenmiller.tripod.com. Let's see what I get. And hopefully the flash button works this time. And it still doesn't. So, for another, let's reload it. Why it's not viewing the flash button, I don't know. But again, that's a concern that you need to have. It doesn't work either. When I move on top of it, it says that it's a link, but it's not working. It tests it out okay, but it's not working in here. Even when I refresh, it should be grabbing the new one. So I will check that out after I'm done with my lecture and see. It should work just fine. Have any of you, the rest of you, tried it, tested it, and uploaded it? Is it working okay? And it's not? Well, another way to test it too, maybe it's the browser, maybe it's something I've done, maybe it's something different. So let's try it in a different browser. Let's try it in Safari. So see, in Safari, this one works. Yeah, it's local, but it does work. Now let's try again. Let's go ahead and let's, in Safari, let's go ahead and type Lauren Miller, whoops, Lauren. So maybe it could be a browser issue. And why that browser wouldn't have the plugin, I don't know. No, it's not. So maybe it has something to do with tripod. And it's not working. It should at least show the button okay. Maybe what I need to do, if I double click on here, is that I used, Verdana is a common typeface, so I don't know why it doesn't like that. About button should work. I don't have a clue. I do not have a clue right now why it's not working. Let's let's come back to it. Okay?
Does it need to have a specific target?
Huh? Well, let's try it. I mean, it shouldn't be an issue. Let's specify self, because that's what I want it to do. Apply. Okay. Save the changes. I'm not going to even, yeah, I need to upload the changes to check and make sure that everything is okay. Window's getting kind of messy here. Let's close that. Let's close that. Let's close that. Let's go back here. Let's go ahead and replace it. I know it works locally, so now the test is, why isn't it working remotely or at the remote site? Let's go back again. Let's preview in a browser. And I'm going to try Firefox again. And let's go to Lauren Miller, tripod. Now, it could very well be in cache, but by refreshing it, it should release that. It should be loading it again from the website. And why it's not, I don't know. That's why I'm trying it in multiple browsers, and it's still not working. Let me do it one more. Let's try this in Internet Explorer. And I'm going to type in let's see what happens here. I'm not getting anything at the moment with Internet Explorer, which is something else altogether. Well, I can't even get on to the internet. Is anybody having any problems with anything? No? That's not good. Let me see, that's working. The hot spot that I created here on the deck, that's working. The flash button is not, and I do not have an explanation for it. I will leave it alone and come back to it. Okay, well, that's a disappointment, but that's the way it goes. Okay, what if I want to apply whatever heading tags, whatever text I've used, whether it be for a paragraph, for links, whatever colors, background colors, you name it, to other pages. Because if I go to the other pages, you notice if I go to the About page, they have the default settings. And I don't want to have to put them in by hand. And you'll notice I do have a style now that what it does and what these are or have to do with, by default now, in Dreamweaver, every time you create a custom style for a type, it creates a cascading style sheet for or a cascading. We want all right now. Here are styles, and you can see style 1. That's the one that we just created that we could rename, and we could call it heading 1 or for whatever, because this is the one that we had for this, Lauren's new website. That's what this is. If I change this here, if I change this and I use something else, we try instead of heading 1, if I select heading 2, and I change the style to none, notice it goes to the default type. But if I select this, and I select from this style, style 1, it works. Okay, I have this one that happened to be 36 point. It was heading, actually this should be heading 1. Let me select this again and try something different. If I select, didn't want that. Oh, let's go ahead. Anyway, cascading style sheets are a way of separating the content from how the visual look, the overall look of the page. In the old days, all of this stuff was embedded within all of the HTML. Color of the text, size of the text, font, all of that. And it would be visible here in the code. And with this highlighted, you see, and it is, you see that we have an H1 tag and it says class equals style 1. Strong, meaning that it's bold. Okay, all of this stuff is still pretty much embedded. We see here that we have a style up here at the very top. This is the cascading style sheet, and it says the style that we're applying here, style 1, the font family is Verdana. We can also use Helvetica or sans serif. It gives us the font size is 36 point. I could also change this from here to, I could put in 24. Whoops, no, I don't want 324. Okay, and see how it changes it. So I can change that from here. I can also come up to the style, and we can edit this from here. Since we've already created, notice where it says font size, I can come back here, and I can change this to 36 point. And we can go back, and since I've changed that here, I need to highlight it and make sure that I have style 1 selected. And why aren't you changing? Come out where we are, because maybe I did change it in here and I do need to change it back. Strong. No, it changed it back. Let's refresh. Why aren't you changing? Come on. So it shows at 36. Notice that I changed that font size. Let's go ahead and change it, save it. Let's go ahead and try to refresh. Let's refresh the page. Oh, please. Let me close it and open it back up. Let's try that. That's not a very good way to do it, but it will just the same. Oh, come on, please, Mr. Bill. It showed that the style, okay, then I did change style 1, and I goofed here. It says 36 point, but I don't know why that is. So let's go back here, and where the little pencil icon is, it says change style, and it says 36 point. So that's my style 1. So why aren't you changing? Maybe because, okay, we have heading 1. It says 36 point, Verdana. Oh man, things aren't going my way today. Class 1, strong. It says 36 point. I changed everything the way it's supposed to. Why isn't it changing it here?
You have to refresh it.
Huh?
I think you have to refresh.
Yeah, it's not. That's what I thought. Refreshing it would work, and it's not. It's showing it here under font size. It's showing it here under the style. It's even showing it here while I have it selected. You know what? Let me just redo it. Say Lawrence. No. But even down here, it says style 1 is 24. So why is that? Why is that? Let's click here. Style 1. And it says 36 point. Verdana font family, current. Heading 1.
Just select something else, then go back to it.
Yeah, let's select this. And go back here. Well, I'm going to leave it for the moment. Let's go ahead and type it back in. Like this, that's not working, I don't have a clue why it's not working.
When you change the size of the header, did you highlight it
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't do that?
Yeah. See if I highlight it. Still shows style 1.
Select another style, or put none.
None. Style 1. But even so style 1 is showing at 24 point. And I selected here, if I come over here, let's show current style. Current, see, it even shows it here. That I can change it from here, or I can come over here. Style 1. And I can edit the style. Let's go back again. Apply. And it didn't. This is like just the beginning of some of the frustrations of, let's make it 48 point, just for the heck of it. See if that changes things. Apply. And it doesn't like it. It's not changing it.
Does the PX have to be right there?
Huh?
The PX?
For pixels. However, that's for style 1. Let me go back to 36. Apply. It's not changing it. Let me open up some of the other pages and see what happens. I'm curious to see what happens here. If I open up the About page, well, that wouldn't change that anyway. It wouldn't have any bearing on it. I don't know why I'm thinking that, because I haven't gotten to that point yet. And that's what I wanted to do. Okay, well, let's leave it at that for a short while. What I want to do, though, is to show you, and I hope I can do this successfully, and that's principally what I wanted to cover today, is to take all of these styles, even to the background color, and also let's change the properties of our links, because I think these look ugly. Okay, they're just my opinion, but I don't like them. It's maybe because they've been around forever, but we want to apply all of these settings to our other pages. What we can do is, for example, let's go ahead and highlight the links, or a link, and let's come back in here and modify page properties, and let's look at links, and you'll see it says font, link font, same as page font. Well, that's the default setting. If I want a specific font, and I would recommend that you stay within these groups, I wouldn't recommend, I strongly suggest I say you have to. I'm going to select Verdana again, just because I like it, and I want it bold. And this is for links only. Size, let's specify maybe 10 point or 10 pixels. link color, let's go ahead and let's select black. For any link that's been visited, maybe we want it a slightly lighter gray. Rollover links, we can create rollover features in here if I want. If I want this to be kind of a dark red when it's rolled over, I can do that. And you can also specify active links if you want. You can change any of those properties. Now what I can also do under underline style, I can say always underline, never underline, or only show underline on rollover. You can also hide underline on rollover, and some people prefer that. I like the show underline on rollover. It's up to you. And then I can watch, when I select one, I've selected one, but when I click apply, notice it applies to all links. And now looking at it, maybe 10 point is a little too small, so let's go ahead and bump this up to 12 point. Apply. That looks a little bit better. Click OK. But again, when I go to another page and I look at my design view, they haven't changed. I want to apply everything that I've done to this, for the heading 1, to the style that I've used, to the background color, to the links, to all of the other pages. So how do I do that? Let's make sure that I save this. And this is what we do. Notice that as I've been changing these, especially the links, that I'm adding to the styles in here. Okay? So now what I do is with this, I'm going to come up here with Cascading Styles selected, and I'm going to click on this little button right up here. Okay? And what I want to do is, oh, Kirk. I want to save the style sheet is what I want to do and export it. So let me come down here. I'm going to click, I can't remember, attach style sheet. Why can't I take this and I want to export this. Okay, let me try something different, because it used to be that you could just save the style sheet from here. Oh, pshaw. I'm not sure where to go. How about if I right click on here, go, use external editor, attach style sheet. I don't want to do that. I want to select all this, I want to take all these styles and I want to I don't want to attach it. I don't want to add style. I don't want to edit the style. I want to edit, copy. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and move them. Move CSS rules, and let's try that. Or let's use the external editor. No. Oh, I'm just failing miserably at the moment. and apply.
Yeah.
That just tells it to apply to what I have here. For the life of me, why can't I save it? Because I want to export all of these and save it as a style sheet. Help. Let me move the CSS rules. I want to, okay, maybe that's it. It tells us to move external style sheet, move to external style sheet. Okay. So I want it to be a style sheet, and this will be a new style sheet. And I'm going to, oh, a style sheet. Okay, we don't have one in here yet. So I'm going to type in here. This will be Lauren's style sheet dot CSS. And I'm going to go ahead and click here and make sure it's in my root folder. And click OK. Is that right? Or maybe I just need a new style sheet.
No, it's the other one.
Huh?
The other one.
It is this one? Okay. Then I click OK. File is non-existent. Do you want to create it? Yes. Okay. There we go. So now what I need to do is that I didn't want all of these. I wanted all of this. Huh?
It worked on mine.
It did. It took all of them.
Yeah.
Let me remove this.
I had all of them selected.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and hold down the Shift key and select them all. And then let's click up here and let's move to CSS Rules. Now that I have one, it should be here, Lauren's style sheet.
Maybe it's in the root folder.
Yeah, I know. So I need to find that. I have it on my desktop. So where is Lauren's folder? There it is. There's Lauren's style sheet. Choose. And then go ahead. And now it's all in there. Okay? So it's moved to. They don't have export the style sheet anymore. It's moved to. Either you create a new style sheet or you move these to an existing style sheet. And this style sheet will be uploaded along with the rest. Now, you can either embed these or you can attach them. And I don't know what was done right now. So what I can do is I can take this style sheet and I can remove it. And it goes back to its default settings. If I wish to set at the bottom here a new rule, or I can attach a style sheet, that's what I want to do. You do not want to embed the style sheet, you want to attach it or link it as it may be. Does that make sense? If you embed it, then when you make changes to the style sheet, here, the advantage to linking the style sheet is that if I go back and I make changes to that style sheet, it will propagate across any of the pages that are linked to it automatically. If I embed the style sheet, I have to make changes to that style sheet while the page is open. And that's not something I want to do. And I'll try to show you an example today. If not, we'll do it on Thursday. And hopefully this will go a little bit smoother than today. So I'm going to go ahead and link it. And what I want to do is link, not import. and I'll select, it says no previous, so we want to browse, and we're going to go back into the root folder because that's where I have it saved. Lauren Miller 2, here's the style sheet, and we choose. There it is, Lauren's style sheet, and it's linked, not imported. And I click OK, and when I do, notice that it changes everything automatically. So I'm going to go ahead and save everything. Now let's go to the About page, and I want it to look just like the page that I created on page 1. So now we can do the same thing. I can link the style sheet or attach a style sheet. There's Lauren's style sheet. Go ahead and click OK, and boom, it changes everything for me. Now, why does this work here?
Oh, because when you went to page properties for the other one, you had the number and you had PX. If you get rid of the PX, it'll go back to
Okay.
what they said.
Okay, then I'm messed up again. Okay. But notice how the links have changed, the look of the links. Notice how the headline, the background color. If I were to include a background image, we could continue to apply additional styles. If you want to see cascading style sheets applied in their full glory, what we'll do right now, and then we'll continue with this on Thursday, is I want to go to my website, okay? And so that you have access to this. So this would be kmart66.com. And then go to Kirk's classes. And you should see when we go to handouts, under useful or inspirational websites, CSS Zen Garden. So anybody interested in really getting in deep with CSS and actually designing your pages with CSS can go here. What they have done is they have, and people will submit ideas for pages. The text is the same from page to page, but you'll notice the links over here is that if I were to select, for example, Orchid Beauty by this guy, it will be the same text, but it will be an entirely, or content, but it will be an entirely different layout. And I didn't want to do, there we go. So when you click from site to site, the content remains the same, but the way it looks is entirely different.
So that's the same website.
Well, it's still CSS Zen Garden, yeah. So now if I were to select this one, Kyoto Forest, I'm just doing these at random here. And now you can see that the links are in a different location. The background is considerably different. Now they had to create all this background in Photoshop or whatever editing program, but the placement of it and the organization of the content was done with Cascading Style Sheets. And you can copy all of that and download those to use to study. This looks considerably different than all the others. And that's where, when you start to look at CSS rules, you know, styles, and you see what it looks like for an entire page, it just goes on and on and on and on, how detailed all of this can be. It is, yeah, it's way, way over the top. But that is how many websites are being designed today. They're kind of avoiding using Flash. They're using CSS instead. It makes it a little bit more user-friendly in the sense that if you switch to a different medium, that it's not being viewed on a computer, but maybe a cell phone or something, and that cell phone can only see the text, then it would discard all the cascading style sheets and you would just see the text. If you had it formatted in tables and other sorts of things that were used traditionally, it would be more difficult to see all of the content in a cell phone. Okay, but it would be visible on a browser, but not on the cell phone. So cascading style sheets really seem to be the way to go. even for the simple things that we're using for links, for the paragraph text, for your headings, subheadings, for background colors, things like that, a background image, they can be incredibly useful. Okay? So that when you change, and this is the point I wanted to drive home, is that now we can go back. Let me go back to the index page here. And yeah, let me go back and modify page properties and appearance. Let me select this again. Where was it that I did that? Did I edit it here? Was it when I edited it? Oh, come on.
See at the bottom right there where it says size?
Uh-huh.
Just try to get rid of that PX.
Still, but it probably isn't someplace that I added it in here. That if I select the style 1 and I edit it from here,
Yes, right there.
just take it away from here, apply. You're right. You know, I don't have a clue why a couple of these things are goofed up. It might be, if I were to, you know, what I probably need to do is sit down and look inside the code, and there might be some code that's still lingering here that's closer to the command than the style itself that's interfering with it. And that will happen too. When we look at some of lynda.com's videos, they explain that pretty clearly about that it is a cascade, that whatever you start at the base will automatically apply to everything else unless you tell it to do otherwise. So if I start with paragraph text, for example, and I say I want it Verdana, I want it 10 point, I want it black, I want it this and that. If I don't specify that for anything else, it will automatically apply, you know, many of those properties to that. If I specify then for links, I want Verdana bold, or just say bold, it will take Verdana automatically, it will take black automatically, but then it will apply the bold to it. I don't need to keep labeling everything. If I go in, and as I did, and maybe that was the mistake, I went into the code and you apply something very close to the text itself, how close it is wins. Does that make sense? The style sheet is separate, it's linked, it's apart from it. But if I put a bit of code in there that is right next to where it's going to be applied, because of its proximity, its physical proximity, it will override the style that I've written. So I have the feeling that if I were to look in that code, I goofed it up somewhere. And I need to strip that away and then it will work. Yeah?
Does the code work like on a hierarchy? Like, say like if you have, if you're specifying a style for like the body and you write it at the top, is it the one that the nearest to the top supersedes the bottom? Nearest to the bottom?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. This is the bottom. Yeah. So the cascade works from the bottom up, that whatever you start with supersedes everything else. I may have it wrong. I'm confused at the moment myself. Make sure that what I'm saying is accurate, because I know what I'm I understand it, but then I'm not sure what I have said that maybe I've given you misinformation.
The example on the Zen garden, that would require you to actually, would you be able to make that like through the features of Dreamweaver, or you would have to actually
No, you can do that.
go into the code itself?
You do.
Okay.
You have to go in, as I specified the styles, you have to go in and specify the styles. The best way to learn that, though, I mean, that's a whole separate course, just like ActionScript is a separate course. But a way of doing that is going to the Zen garden. You can download the style sheet and the page, and you start to study it, and you can apply it, and you can, and see how they've organized the whole thing. And it's deconstructing it. It's the way, you know, people of the past would take clocks apart to understand how they worked, and then say, you know what, this is really a neat design. I like how they've done this, but I think I can do this better. If I were to eliminate this, or maybe I were to change that part, I can improve upon it. It was by literally tearing it apart, and that's what they're providing for you at the CSS Zen Garden, is that for you to download this, because what we have here, while you may not have realized it, and I didn't point it out, is that this is the style sheet. It is a separate HTML document, or it's not HTML, it's a separate document that is uploaded to your root. It's in your root folder, and it's uploaded to the remote server. Okay, and you can change. I mean, if you know how to write the code, you can change it all from here, and change that. And as soon as somebody uploads the pages or opens the pages, all of it's changed. The content remains the same. It's the visual, you know, from the color of text to the placement of the text to the placement of images to all sorts of things. It can get really, really detailed. It's really pretty overwhelming, at least for me at the moment. But you know, I can do basic stuff, but when you get into the really complex stuff, it's like programming. It's no different. It's a whole other language. But as I say, it is very popular today. Your pages will load quicker. They are more flexible, as you can see, because what you can do is that you can make a change. If I decide that I want a different color, change the background color in your style sheet, and then for whatever pages have been have used that style sheet, as soon as someone opens up the page, it automatically changes. You don't have to open every single page and go in and manually change them one by one. It works much more efficiently. For a small website like ours, you know, it's not a big deal, but when you start to work on bigger ones, and even for a 4 or 5 page website, you're going to get tired of opening up every page and changing it and making sure they're consistent. By just changing the style sheet, it will make them consistent. Okay. The fellow who wrote the book, Kirk, does a really good job. He's done a number of videos for lynda.com. It's almost 10 o'clock. I want to stop the video, and then what we'll do is let's take a break, and we can watch some of it, because I think it's worthwhile today. Watch some of the lynda.com videos and pertaining to cascading style sheets. So he does a much better job of explaining it than I have. Using the same principles, and when chapter 6 in the book does pretty much the same thing. They have already pages laid out for you and showing you how to apply some basic styles and to link them as opposed to embed them, and how flexible they allow your website to be. And they do work really, really well. The one thing that has changed over time with Dreamweaver is that every time you apply a different look to the text, it automatically gives that a different makes that a different style. And whether you want to add that to your style sheet or not is up to you. But it does that. So what you can do, and it is what I recommend that you do, is that you lay out your home page, apply all the different text styles that you think you're going to want to, just as we did there, and export it, although they don't call it exported anymore. They say move to, and you create a new style sheet that way. And then you can delete them from that page and then import or link a style sheet to it. And then for every page that you create thereafter, just insert the content, apply the style sheet, and you will have that consistent look. Okay, and if you want multiple style sheets, you can. You can have multiple style sheets to a page, not just one. I've done that on my website because I wanted the back